This is the Vivo X100 Pro, one of the phones I've been looking forward to the most. Now the reason why a lot of us find this phone so interesting, it's because Vivo's gone against the trend quite a bit with their latest flagship. For example, at a time where we are seeing everyone go Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, Vivo's chosen to go Mediatek. The X100 Pro is in fact the first time we are seeing Mediatek's flagship Dimensity 9300 in action. And this version that I have here, the 1TB model, it even has the fastest RAM on any phone till date, LPDDR5T. Also, unlike most other launches in the recent past and the near future, Vivo's gone back to that 1-inch Sony IMX989 again. Given they've had 1 year to fine-tune performance on it, I can't wait to see what it's going to be capable of. So let's go ahead, get this bad boy unboxed, and then take a detailed look at everything Vivo's done with their latest flagship X100 Pro. Hey guys, Ash here from C4E Tech, and let's get started. This is the box the X100 Pro comes in. Vivo usually goes for a very minimalist look for their flagship boxes, and it's the same here with muted logos and the Zeiss branding. Once you open up the box, you are greeted by the Vivo X100 Pro. Let's remove it from its protective wrap. I picked up the sunset orange here. This year, Vivo's gone for a sun and moon kind of design language. Let me explain. This, like I said, it's the sunset orange. The back here is vegan leather and it's got these ripples. They are supposed to give you the look of water ripples at sunset. To me, it feels nice to touch. It makes for a good grip. Then we have Star Trail Blue. This one, like the black and white SKUs, comes with a glass back. There are concentric patterns beneath the camera array which mimic the star trails you'd see with long exposure photography. Now it's not just that. Look at the camera array itself. You see how the ring surrounding it is asymmetric? And by that I mean the lower part is thicker. Now this is supposed to be inspired by an eclipse, while the regular X100, with that the thicker part is to the right, and that's supposed to be inspired by the waxing crescent of the moon. So moving on from all that, from a form factor perspective, at 9.1 millimeters of thickness, this phone is slightly slimmer than the X90 Pro Plus. We have nothing to the left, the secondary mic and IR blaster reside up top, the power and volume keys are to the right, they're pretty clicky and tactile. Now to the bottom, here's where we find the primary microphone, speaker, a USB Type-C port, 3.2 Gen 1 BT dub, and then there's this tray. This can take 2 nano SIM cards, and the IP rating from the last time, it's still present here. Now for the keen-eyed amongst you, you'd have noticed there's no cutout for a second speaker, and that's because the earpiece is what pulls double duty as a second speaker. Now the stereo speaker setup here is loud, it's not bad, but it's definitely not the best. Here, have a listen. Now, given the back and the display both curve inwards, the Vivo X100 Pro feels slimmer than it actually is. That said, it's still not a very ergonomic phone given it weighs in at over 220 grams, has a large camera array to the back, which you're probably gonna end up smudging a lot, more so if you're gaming. Talking about gaming, though the X100 Pro is a camera-focused flagship, on paper at least, it seems like it should do very well with games. The Mediatek Dimensity 9300 on the inside, it's a very powerful chip, even beats the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 under certain scenarios. For example, here's Geekbench 6. If you look at single-core scores, they're pretty close, but the Dimensity chip does have an edge with multi-core. Now this variant here, like I said earlier, this is the 1TB SKU. It's the only one that gets the faster LPDDR5T RAM. Now that said, Qualcomm's strength has always been GPU, and it's no different here as well. The Adreno 750 on the 8 Gen 3 outperforms the Immortalis G715MC11 on the Dimensity 9300 here. Now that's not even it. When pushed, the X100 Pro sadly fell apart. A stability score of 40%. Now that's not really acceptable, is it? Now for those wondering, was this with the performance mode on or off? Guys, it doesn't make a difference. This is with the performance mode on, and this is with the performance mode off. Now looking past the benchmarks with actual gaming, the X100 Pro did run well. It didn't feel too hot or anything. In fact, it even has ray tracing support with some games. I guess Vivo's able to fail at GPU stress tests but still provide smooth gaming experiences due to their dedicated chip that helps with upscaling and frame insertion. So basically they are able to get games to run well enough without pushing the GPU to its limits. So I guess, if you aren't looking at this phone just to game on, it could kind of make sense. Anyways, moving on, let's talk display next. Now this is the same panel we saw on the regular iQOO 12, the Visionox VM7, a 1.5K OLED panel. Now I'm not really sure why Vivo calls 1.5K as UHD now. If you know why, let me know in the comments. Now the curve at the edges, it's kept minimal, so there's not a lot of discoloration when you don't look at the panel head on. And this display itself, it's a 10-bit panel with a 120Hz refresh and has LTPO tech as well. Well, it's not the sharpest, it's color accurate, pretty responsive and bright. The brightness tops out at around 700 nits on manual mode, goes up to 1500 under high brightness mode, and for HDR, it can go all the way up to 3000 nits. There's also support for 2160Hz PWM dimming. Now underneath this panel, Vivo's gone for a standard optical fingerprint scanner, which I was surprised to see. Not that it's slow or anything, Vivo says they went optical to keep the phone slim. I kinda wish they'd gone ultrasonic. So what do you think? Would you be okay with say 0.1mm extra thickness if it meant getting an ultrasonic fingerprint scanner? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Anyways, to keep all this up and running, Vivo's thrown in a 5400 mAh battery. And on that note, let's get back to the box. We next have a regular transparent TPU case. Nothing particularly special about this one. Then there's the quick start guide, a USB Type-C to Type-C cable with white accents, a SIM ejector tool, and finally a 120 watt Vivo flash charger. Now here's something weird. Now though the charger here is 120 watts, I find it a little odd that the phone can only accept a maximum of 100 watts. This is especially weird. Do not roll that clip. Weird. It's especially odd since the regular X100, which has the same specs, same everything, comes with a 120 watt charger and can support 120 watts of charging. So just wanted to point that out, not really calling it a negative or anything. Anyways, it takes the X100 Pro about 30 minutes to reach full charge, and that's just fine. On top of that, you get support for 50 watt proprietary wireless charging alongside 10 watt reverse wireless. Next up, let's talk optics. This huge camera array to the back houses 3 sensors. The primary, like I mentioned earlier, it's Sony's 1-inch IMX989, a 50 megapixel sensor that's been paired with an optically stabilized f1.75 lens. It does perform very well. Just look at these pictures. The dynamic range is very good. The images are quite detailed. And most importantly, the bokeh you get as a result of the wide aperture and large sensor, that's just amazing. I mean, see this side by side with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. See how much shallower the depth of field is. Vivo also provides 3 options to shoot. We get Vivid, Textured, and Zeiss Natural. Everything I've shot here is in Vivid since that seems to portray the best dynamic range. Vivo's also focused on the software aspect quite a bit. There are a whole host of portrait options to mix and match the overall style of the image, the style of the bokeh. I ended up having a lot of fun with it shooting. Just see these images. I think they turned out quite nicely. Now there are also a lot of watermark options to choose from. You get to customize them to your heart's content. Vivo's even taken a page out of Apple's playbook and added different focal length choices when you tap the zoom levels. Now by default, the X100 Pro can shoot 8K 30, but forget about that for a minute. It can do 4K 60 via all 3 cameras and can switch between them almost seamlessly. Given how close Vivo's matched colors on all 3 sensors, I found this very nice to use. And the stability via the telephoto, it's insane. Like here, this is at 100x zoom. They have it so stable that making minute adjustments is actually a pain. But as you see here, even with the 100x zoom shots, you can still make out what you're shooting. So the 2 secondary sensors are 50 megapixels. One is that 4.3x telephoto, the other ultra wide. They produce decent results. The telephoto can also do telephoto macro, and the results were excellent. Just look at the detail here. And you can get pretty close to the subject. 4.3x zoom with a 18mm minimum focal distance is quite nice. Now there's also a cinematic mode for video, and it does a fair job of adding a cinematic touch to these shots. Now under this mode, you can shoot up to 4K 30. This is all thanks to Vivo's self-developed V3 image chip, which is exclusive to the X100 Pro as of now. Now, just like Apple, for these shots, Vivo does allow for the focus to be changed in post, which I really appreciate. Now, low light stills also turned out quite nice. I was pretty impressed, initial impressions at least. That said, selfies were average at best. The 32 megapixel sensor shoots 24mm by default. It can, however, switch to the 20mm equivalent for group shots if needed. The results are okay. Now, it's a bummer that there is no autofocus still, and the video, it continues to be restricted to 1080-60. For a camera-focused flagship, it's really bad. So overall, I have mixed feelings about this one. I love the fact that Vivo's focused so much on the optics. The IMX989 seems to be a very good choice, especially if you like that shallow depth of field, and Vivo's Zeiss collaboration only makes things even better. Now, the Dimensity 9300, that has its positives too, but I feel like when you're paying so much for a phone, buying one with a 40% stability score, it just leaves a sour taste in the mouth. Initial impressions, I feel you'd be better off waiting for the Pro Plus here. If you look at last year, the X90 Pro Plus was basically the X90 Pro with an extra periscope camera and the 8 Gen 2 instead of the Dimensity 9200. So by that logic, maybe we see an 8 Gen 3 Pro Plus this year. I mean, do you guys remember the insane stability score the X90 Pro Plus had last year? That gives me pause. But if you're very focused on cameras, the X100 Pro, it does seem to be a good option. So what do you guys think about this phone? What do you think about that stability score in particular? Let me know in the comments. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.